Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the return edition of the Tiger Powered Podcast. It is your host and content creator, the highlight reel, Brian Styles-Janil, here with a panel of very fine gentlemen. I am here with DarkSydePhil. What's up, Phil?
Hey, what's going on, man?
Anthony, how you doing?
Doing good, man.
Anthony, why don't you tell people where you're from? I think we all seen your YouTube channel. At least I have.
I'm from the internet. The amazingly average gameplay of Anthony. Phil knows that's a mouthful. He stumbled with that before. All sorts of gameplay. There's been a huge focus lately on Mass Effect, but there's been plenty of wrestling stuff. We collaborated. You still got your cameo in the Brothers Grimm showcase coming up.
Hell yeah.
And the Brothers Grimm have also been an It Factor.
Yes, which we will be talking about later on. Or should I say plugging, not really talking about it. And my broadcast colleague in IFWA, the Jigsaw one himself, Jigsaw Jester. What's up, man?
Look, man, I done told you. Why do you keep calling me? I don't have no money. What do you want? What do you want? You want my shoes? You want them?
Wait, hold on. What size do you wear?
12.
That's my shoe size. You can give them to me.
I'm mad. I'm so mad. That shouldn't even be a thing. That should not even be a thing.
Yeah.
I cannot comment at this time.
Sniff them. Do a sniff test right now.
Why would I smell? I'm not smelling my shoes, you weirdo.
I'll sniff them for you.
If we got a
I bet you will.
If it's a corn chippy smell, I definitely want them.
Go home. Go home, Brian. Go home. Ain't nobody got no Frito shoes. Go home.
All right, so the man you hear laughing in the background is Javier Vega. I like to call him newcomer to the show. How you doing, Jav?
Living the dream every day.
That's his punchline. That's gonna be on your gravestone, dude.
That's already made.
Oh wow, okay. Tony Montana legs. And Tyree. Are you still with us, my friend?
Not for long.
I am good, sir.
Tyree may get abducted by aliens during this show, so and you'll see why we have that joke if it happens. It's bizarre. It's the most odd thing ever. So next topic before we jump into the hot seat. If Marvel let NetherRealm make a game similar to Injustice using their characters, who would you want in it? I'm gonna go around.
Venom.
Everybody just get a one character that you want in at the most. So, Anthony, you got Venom.
Absolutely. I will buy day one full package, Ultimate Collector's Edition, if it at least has Venom.
I can dig it. How about you, Alf?
Carnage.
Oh, Venom and Carnage. Not a premium skin of Venom for Carnage?
No, absolutely not. They're two different things.
Okay.
Yeah, they're two entirely different fighting styles.
Yeah, that'd be really nasty to see Carnage in a fighting game, man. What do you think, Jester? How about you? What's your pick?
I'm going to go Punisher because I'd love to see his fatalities.
Oh, come on. We don't need another Deathstroke, bruh. Nah, man.
Oh, all right, look, you're just mad because you got your face beat in with a rifle like 30 times.
He's going to be dead.
Let me tell y'all the story,
you know what?
Hold on. No, give me a sec. Let me tell you the story about Brian real quick about how he cannot block 3 rifle butts to the face every time I pick Deathstroke. This man got mad at me for not shooting him with Deathstroke in Injustice 1 because I just kept beating him in the face with a rifle butt.
It was bullshit. Like, you weren't playing the game right. How about that?
It'd be cool if they made the Punisher a grappler.
They would never do that. He has too many guns. No, you know what? I can see him playing more like Red Hood, to be honest.
Yes.
But, Phil, what you think? One character.
Alright, I'm gonna think outside the box. I'm gonna say we should have the Juggernaut in it, and he plays like Goro. He's like a boss character, and he's just like incredibly overpowered, super armor Juggernaut. But he kills you at the end, like he just runs you over and flattens your ass.
He has to make his Juggernaut noise from Marvel 2, though. The ow!
Me personally, since nobody ever gives this man any love, I just want to see Cyclops get some limelight.
No,
that is true. Everyone sleeps on Cyclops.
They hate Cyclops. He's so cool, man. Like, he's powerful as hell, but he didn't get no love.
I don't know why he doesn't get no love. Because he's an asshole. That's why he doesn't get no love.
Exactly. I was going to say, go ahead and YouTube Cyclops is a dick. And we'll go ahead and see.
Like, seriously, he's not kidding. Cyclops is a legit asshole. Yes, his eyes are portals to an energy dimension, but it doesn't matter. He is still an asshole. His powers are cool, but he's a dick.
Fine. I guess I'll be the guy.
What, you gonna pull Emma Frost out your ass? Huh?
Oh, man. Dude.
Adam Warlock? Huh?
Let's not get started on the tittage of Emma Frost. Like,
maybe Blade, since your affirmative action right now.
There you go, Tyree.
Tyree's back from the mothership.
Oh my God.
All right, gentlemen, next we're going to get to a very special segment I like to call the Hot Seat, where I will be reading particular comments and or questions to Phil here. He can choose to respond to them if he wants. That's up to him. Anthony will actually start off with the first question, because Anthony, do you remember yours, or should I just read it for you?
No, I remember it. That one's actually from somebody else who wanted me to ask on behalf. I got a question of my own, so my question is, can I do both? Maybe
okay, hold on.
Another.
Hold on, let me actually start. All right, so Anthony has the first question of today's Hot Seat with Mr. DarkSydePhil, aka DSP Gaming. What you got?
All right, so the first question that I have for you is, why don't you speak to your brother Kane bringing the pain anymore? He's your family man. He misses you.
No. Well, the thing is, apparently he's so embarrassed at my accident last year that he went into hiding because he kind of looks like me and people kept bothering him about it.
Is that for real?
No, I don't talk. I mean, I never really talk to him. It's funny because a lot of people over the years, they've seen me talk to certain people or have not really a rivalry, but like kind of an interaction or something with a certain person, and they're like, "Oh, well, you ever talk to that guy again? You ever talk to this guy again?" Like, Kane was a guy who was very critical of me for a very long time, and then I ended up being on, that podcast and answered a lot of questions, very honestly. And I think that on that show, because Kane wasn't basically whipping me a new asshole like people expected him to be, he got a lot of flack for it. Mm-hmm. And I really, honestly, haven't really talked to the guy since then. I mean, it's been me. I'm a YouTuber and a streamer who's kind of on his own island. I just do my own shit. I try not to pay attention to all the stuff going on around me. So, I mean, it's really possible that maybe he still talks about me or whatever. I have no idea. I'm just doing my own thing. And if he ever had a desire to talk to me again or whatever, I'm not even aware of it because I haven't heard from him. So.
No, I was just messing with you, because the funny thing is, I was actually one of the two hosts when we did that interview of you, and we did catch a lot of crap for that.
Yep.
They felt we did not hit you hard enough for the hard questions.
How dare you be feared on a show that I'm a guest on? How dare you? The bell, punching me in the balls constantly. That's what it should have been, right?
You know what? And if I may chime in here in regards to what you guys are saying, I have no freaking idea what these people are saying when they say you don't hit them with the hard questions. Because I have that here in a video promo that I made. It says, spoiler alert, they won't ask Phil any hard questions. Like what?
Which what they really mean is we're not going to sit here and slam them.
And I say, this is my response. And this is the prime example of what I'm talking about. I say, I have a set of questions myself I'll be asking, but this is why I made this open to the public, so we can ask the questions people really wanted. I have an idea of what those might be, but not entirely. Do you have one? Does not reply. So if we don't ask them the question you wanted, we gave you the opportunity. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think the way these people think. So I'm not sitting here thinking like, oh, I want to ask them this. You know what? I'm going to bring up a thing from years ago. Hey, why'd you mute everybody? Why'd you mute the stream chat when Liana said Kingdom Hearts is stupid? Why would I ask you that?
I know.
You know what? Like,
2012 and they still bring that shit up, man.
It's stuff like that. It's stuff like that won't give me an intelligent response. So it's not worth my time. Now, a question like this, which is what I'm going to ask you right now, will be a little more intelligent. Something like, Phil, do you ever feel somewhat bad about the way your relationship with John Rambo went down? Like, do you ever feel like you want to fix things? Yes or no?
That's a very good question. And that's a reasonable one.
Right.
Well, let me put it this way. Pretty much everything, 100% in that situation that happened negative was on his side. Meaning he was the one who apparently had a problem with our friendship, but never said anything. He was the one that didn't like the way things were going, and he never told me. So if you actually look at it from my perspective, like, do I wish things went differently? Of course. I mean, my whole line of thought was that when I moved across the country in 2014, it was going to be maybe a couple of months where I had to adjust to living here or whatever, and we were going to just do business as usual. We were going to keep doing our wrestling podcast show, and we were going to keep doing co-op gameplay over the internet. And he was the one who distanced himself from me and said, no, I'm too busy. No, I don't want to do it. I can't do this. He made excuse after excuse. That for the reason why he couldn't go through what he said he wanted to do previously. And then he stopped responding to me entirely, wouldn't talk to me at all, and then he was the one who went out of his way to make a negative video about me because I was completely in the dark. So obviously, of course, I wish that it went differently. I mean, I wanted to still be friends with the guy, but the problem is when you have a situation where one person in a relationship has an issue and the other person isn't aware of the issue, there's no way you could ever address or fix it. And
right.
That's exactly what happened was apparently he had these pent-up issues with me, but he never told me. If you don't tell me, I can't address it or fix what you think I'm doing wrong. And I really think that was completely unfair of him to go about it the way he did, where completely just ignore me, which is what he was doing for a good year. He wasn't even really responding to anything that I tried to talk to him about. And lied to me about the reason why he didn't want to do the shows anymore. It was because he had these issues with me, not because, he had other stuff he was working on, which is what he kept telling me. Basically a lot of dishonesty. And then at the end, instead of talking to me, make a public show of it, I don't even know, I think it was just audio only, but to do that instead of, again, talking to the person you have an issue with, to me, I mean, this is from my perspective, tells me he didn't really want to fix things. If you're going to go public and slam someone like that instead of talking to them about the issue, that means you're past the point of reconciliation. You're at a point where you don't want to reconcile. You just want it to be known that this person has wronged you. And really, that's the kind of the vibe that I've been getting for about a year from him, was that he really didn't want anything to do with me anymore. He wanted to move on and just do his own thing and not be associated with DarkSydePhil at all anymore. So from my perspective, it's like, it's irreparable. But what am I going to do? Call him and be like, well, I'm glad to know that you have a million issues with me that you never told me and never gave me a chance to address. What do we do now? Because obviously, you don't like me, and you just made a show that makes me look like a piece of shit. Where are you going to go from there? And honestly, I'm going to be real here. I'm the kind of person that's very, very honest and upfront with everyone. If I have an issue with someone, I tell them. I don't hide it, and I'm not passive aggressive at all. The complete opposite. And if someone is dishonest with me like that, that's kind of the point of no return for me. If someone's dishonest with me for an extended period of time, how can I ever trust that person again? Because it could just happen again. They got an issue or whatever, and they're not going to tell me. So, from my perspective, from the second that show or whatever he recorded went live on the internet 2 years ago, that was his message to me, that he didn't want to be my friend. He didn't want to ever do anything or have anything to do with me ever again. And at that point, I was like, fine, if that's how it is, at least I got my answer, because I had no idea why the guy was dodging me for so long anyway. And that's that. I'll move on with my own life and focus on my own shit rather than constantly be wondering what's going on with this guy.
Right.
So,
now, the whole reason of me asking you that question in particular was to get a detailed, intelligent answer out of you that is worth our time. Right? Now, would you guys say that was a fair answer on Phil's part?
Very.
That was, yeah, it was, definitely.
Anthony, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a touchy subject. I mean,
right, it's a touchy subject that we don't know anything about. Now, I know John as well. I do. I've done Snozman and Hole Punch with him. I actually built, a somewhat friendship with the guy. John's pretty cool. I like John a lot. We have no problems. We talk here and there. there's two sides to every story. I'm not going to explain the details of the situation, but there are definitely two sides to every story, and not every person goes about life the same way. So one person might respond a certain way doesn't mean somebody is going to understand what your problem is. You get what I'm saying? Like, if you have an issue, you need to say something. Not everybody is going to recognize that there is an issue off the bat. You have to sometimes communicate that to people, because if you don't, they're going to assume everything's a-okay. All right, moving forward, Anthony, what was your second question?
Right. So the legit question comes from me, and this is actually from what I see. You get this question a lot. And as somebody who also had, I should say, let's still kind of do major back problems. I know it's something you sometimes bring up. It's something you get hounded on about. And I get you cannot afford surgery. I understand that it's also dangerous. You can become a paraplegic. So this is why I don't bother with it. But as someone with 5 herniated discs in the lower lumbar region of my spine, I started DDP yoga. I can tell you right now, I do not feel back pain almost ever. Have you ever considered or given any legitimate thought to jumping into DDP yoga or doing anything else a little more holistic or just like self-repair to try and work on your back?
I own DDP yoga. I bought it years ago. I actually bought a yoga mat, and I tried doing it in Connecticut when I lived there. And the problem was I had to move so much shit in my living room to have enough room to do it that I hurt my back more than the benefits of actually doing the yoga, because I had that giant stupid coffee table and everything I had in the middle of it for recording and everything. So I kind of was in the mindset of, all right, when I finally move and I get a bigger place, then I'll do it. And then, of course, I moved out here and got all wrapped up in the new house and everything. And I'd say probably it took about a year. Well, after about a year of living out here and kind of adjusting my lifestyle, one major difference living out here than what I had in Connecticut is that everything I need is close by. I've got a supermarket across the street. I've got a garage, so I'm not carrying heavy bags of multiple flights of stairs. There's no snow out here. It's not like I'm shoveling snow and covering through ice and shit. So all this stuff that used to actually mess with my back, that would aggravate the injury, has kind of been erased from my life since I moved out here. So in all honesty, my back now almost has no pain and no issues. It's very rare when I'll have a day when, oh God, I got shooting pain in my back or I got tenseness. I used to have numbness in my legs, completely gone. Don't have that anymore. The only time really that I get back pain is if I'm out doing a strenuous thing. Like if I'm out all day long, walking around, lifting stuff, or other stress going into stress obviously also can affect the back. That's the issue. That's when I'll have like back pain. But let me put it this way: if I still was in a crazy amount of pain and numbness and everything that I had when I lived in Connecticut, 1,000,000%, I would have dug the DDP yoga out of the bins or that I have in my closet here in my office, and I would have been doing it. But it actually, because of the life changes that I made when I moved out here, I don't really have that as an issue anymore. So. You're right. I've heard a lot of people have gotten into the DDP yoga, and apparently it works wonders. It's life-changing in a lot of ways for people who are really in debilitating pain all the time. And I know I have that to fall back on. If I ever fall or hurt my back again or whatever, I have that to fall back on because I've got it. But no, I actually never went through with it because of the fact that I never had the space in Connecticut, and since I moved out here, things have gotten dramatically better for me in regards to my back injury.
And that's a good thing. That's very good.
Very good. Man, it was bad in Connecticut, man. It was 1 week. I'll give you some perspective. There was 1 week in Connecticut where it snowed every day, and I had to go out and shovel snow, and I basically couldn't move. Like, I couldn't feel my right leg. Every time I stood up, I had sharp nerve pain, shooting up and down. And I was like, how am I going to live the rest of my life like this? You know, I didn't know what I was going to do. And, you know, as much as people criticize me for getting into massive debt and moving across the country, at least health-wise, in regards to my back, this has been like the best decision of my life.
Right. And ultimately, health is very important. It pretty much is. Hashtag fuck snow. I hate snow. I really do. So before we move forward to the rest of the YouTube comments, is there anybody in a party right now besides Anthony? Those are your last one, right? That was your last one?
Yeah, that's it.
Anybody else in the party that has a question for Phil at all? Going once.
Oh.
Twice.
I do have a question when I think about it.
Alright, Mr. Jester.
You've received a lot of flack for that money thing that happened a few years ago when you were opened up a
Patreon.
And I want your honest story about where that money went and what happened and why everybody probably got the wrong idea about what happened, or they were justified in being mad at you about it.
And this is the Project 7 money we're talking about, right?
Indeed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's exactly what I was going to ask, because I didn't know if you just meant in general opening the Patreon or that Project 7 situation.
No, it was the Project 7.
All right, this is an easy one. It's not a complicated story. Every month when I do my Patreon, I got to try to figure out some creative way to get people to pledge. Because even though there are people who every month will pledge just out of the kindness of their own heart because they love the fact that I'm putting out free streams of videos every day and they want to see that continue, there's other people who will pledge if I find a way to motivate them to pledge. And I remember it was 2 years ago, summer of 2015. It was August, and actually I take it back. It was July, and I was looking for just kind of a middle-level goal that I could reach to get people to maybe motivate them to pledge or whatever. There was a goal above that, by the way. That wasn't the top goal for the month. There was another goal above that also got hit that month. And, of course, no one wants to talk about that, but that's besides the point. The goal that I set, the mid-level goal, was that if I hit this certain funding level on Patreon, that I was going to produce a trailer, not a full series, not an episode, not even the promise of anything like that, but a short, couple minutes long trailer for Project 7, a rebooted series, of it being kind of what it was intended to originally be, which a lot of people may not know this. It was going to be basically me playing Final Fantasy VII, but I was going to interject with cutscenes and skits, and basically go back and forth between the game and making fun of the game and having that character Deathface or whatever be in it, and stuff like that. It was an idea I had many, many years ago. Since then, I've totally abandoned that kind of stuff. But anyway, I was going to make a trailer of kind of just anticipating it, hyping it up, and having a little bit of that kind of thing in it. And what ended up happening that summer, excuse me, was that I basically was trying to gauge interest. And I was like, well, I need to take time off to do this trailer, obviously. I can't be streaming constantly. I can't be putting out videos constantly if you guys wanted me to make this trailer. So when am I going to do it? And I kept asking, and there was a lot of demand that summer for me to do certain downtime stuff before the new releases started hitting in the fall. When I get so caught up, there's no way I could be doing like older games, retro games and stuff like that. And pretty much time flew by. It ended up becoming like mid to late August. We were in a situation where I would have to not play new games in order to put out this trailer. And I asked my viewing audience, is this what you want to see or not? And overwhelmingly the feedback that I got from the viewing audience at that time was, forget it. We understand it was an idea of something you wanted to do during the summer because you thought that there'd be all this downtime. Turns out you ended up doing a lot of games and stuff we wanted to see. We're happy. As long as we're happy, it doesn't matter if you put out this stupid trailer or not, because honestly, it was me that made the goal, not them. It wasn't like they had voted that this was something they wanted. This was just something that I had thrown out there as an idea of something to do during that summer. So after getting that kind of feedback for a couple of weeks in mid-August, I said, all right, then I'm not going to do it. But what I am going to do is I'm going to take that amount of money that was raised for the Project 7 goal specifically, which was a few $100s. I believe it was around $250 or something like that. And I'm going to put that towards next month. So next month for Patreon, all the goals that I set are going to be $250 less. So here you go. Chances are September comes, you're going to hit all those funding goals because I didn't live up to my promise of doing the Project 7 goal, and I'm going to apply those funds towards the next month, basically. And really that was it. When it comes to actual patrons of mine who had pledged and were expecting the Project 7 trailer, I'd say probably there were a couple dozen who were disappointed, but there was only one person, and this is the God's honest truth, one singular patron who was very angry with me that I didn't do the trailer because they had specifically pledged only because they wanted to see the trailer. And they were so upset. They had a private conversation with the person, and they were so upset that they withdrew their pledge, and since then they've never pledged to my Patreon ever again. So in reality, when it comes to the reality of the situation, one single person was actually upset that I didn't do the Project 7 trailer so much that they withdrew their pledge. In actuality, everyone else was like, okay, we understand. You asked us, we told you we'd rather have you play other games and do stuff than do this trailer. It was just it was a nice idea, but in actuality, we'd rather just see you play more games. Now, of course, what happened was my lovely, group of people who follow me around the internet and hound me and fucking find every opportunity to spin everything into a negative thing possible, saw this as an opportunity where Phil actually admitted he did something wrong, and there's concrete proof that Phil promised something and he didn't live up to it. Let's find every possible way to blow the situation up to make him look bad. So they lied about the amount of money that was raised. They lied about what I had promised. They lied every possible thing. And of course, as you know, when there's people who are on the internet only to look at negative drama and shit, they tend to believe whatever they hear. So over the 2 years now that this happened, it spun that Phil stole his patrons' money. Phil refused to give refunds, which, by the way, is wrong. Not one patron actually asked me for a refund at all. I would have. If someone was so fucking upset that I didn't do this trailer, I would have personally refunded them their money. No one asked for it. So it's preposterous the things that people have spun that situation into for their own dramatic benefit. From my perspective, it was like a silly little thing. It was a silly little idea that I had, and since then, things have changed so much. People still ask me, "Gee, you're ever going to do Project 7?" I'm like, you know what? Dude, that idea is so old and played out at this point. If I were to do something that was like a skit-based video or show, it would be a completely different idea at this point. It would not be the original Project 7 idea. So the whole thing's dead in the water. It was not an issue for anyone but one singular person, and it pretty much was all wrapped up then. So all that crap you heard, I'm sure, about me being a thief and all of that, it's funny how it all stems from a $250 pledge level that was completely blown out of proportion for 2 years now.
All right.
Yeah, yeah, it's a great elaboration. So definitely no hopes of Project 7 in the future. So we'll get Project 8, right? It'll be fun. It'll be the Final Fantasy 8, which is infamously worse than 7.
Yeah, I'm gonna say.
Yeah. Final Fantasy 8 was terrible. Oh my god, dude.
I hate that game.
Oh, it's terrible.
I do.
All right, so next question.
That should be a Patreon goal.
Oh no! Don't listen. Don't torture him like that.
If you raise up enough, you have to do an entire playthrough.
You know they're gonna vote for it because it's garbage.
Oh yeah.
So don't let do a vote. Make them put the money forward to actually get that.
All right, so we have another question here. Let's see. Okay, so Mr. Marlboros, I guess that's how you say it. He says, "Why is it that you, Phil, are only good at Ultra Street Fighter 2 Turbo competitively and no other fighting games ever after that?" Probably because he hasn't practiced, but I'll let him answer.
Right. Well, first of all, that's wrong. I am good at a few. I'm very, very good at X-Men vs. Street Fighter. I'm actually really good at the original Marvel vs. Capcom.
All right.
As well as Marvel Superheroes, which was the originating game that started the whole Versus series. And I would say, if I were to practice again, I could probably become at least mid to, say, maybe slightly under the top players in the country of Marvel vs. Capcom 2. I never made it to the upper echelon of Marvel 2 players, never. But I could hang. I mean, I was known that at any given time I could go to a tournament and I might take out a top player. It's happened many times before. But I never really reached that level where I was winning tournaments or, doing any kind of very notable achievements in Marvel vs. Capcom 2. So the answer to the question, first of all, the question is flawed. It's not correct. But if you really want to answer in regards to why am I good at Ultra Street Fighter 2 or Super Turbo, it's because it's based on the original Street Fighter 2, which I played on release day in the Americas. When that game came out in American arcades, I was there on launch day playing it. That's the game that I went back to more and more and more over the years. It's the game where that fighting engine was the very first ever competitive fighting game engine, and I understand it pretty much from every possible direction. That's one of those rare games where I can play with pretty much every single character in the game at least a semi-competitive level, if not a high level in case of certain characters. It's probably also the fighting game that I played the most. Being that it started in American arcades, and that was the one I played, all the different iterations of Street Fighter 2, which lasted anywhere from 1992 all the way through, 95, 96? So you're talking a good straight 3-4 years. That was Street Fighter. That was competitive fighting games for me, and that was what I played on. And then, when there was kind of a revival in the middle 2000s, when there was all the different ports of Super Turbo, I was traveling around the country constantly playing them. Just in particular the PS1 version, which is the one that I got fourth place at EVO Nationals at, and then after that there was a Capcom Classics Collection port, and then there was a Anniversary Edition port. I mean, there's so many versions of Super Turbo that have come out over the years, and even though the ports have dramatic differences from the arcade version of the game, usually I can adjust to those changes and play at a high level. It's funny because people still to this day say that my placing fourth place at EVO doesn't count because the version of the game that was played was a PS1 port of Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, which I will very simply respond, I played the version that you were told was going to be at the event.
Right.
I didn't whine, I didn't complain, I didn't argue, I didn't refuse to compete. I said, okay, this is what they're going to be playing, I will learn this game. So I played it and I learned all the changes, and I ended up getting fourth place because I was one of the few people who didn't become a whiny baby about it. Instead, I learned the changes and used that to my advantage in the tournament. So people want to say that it's illegitimate. It's not. It's just that I was smarter than everyone else, and I learned the version that was being played rather than sitting there complaining.
Right.
Now, okay, so why am I good at Ultra Street Fighter 2 right now? Well, when I play other fighting games, I'm nowhere near as good. It's very simple. Because Street Fighter 2 is the game that I always go back to. I've had the most hours played in it. I've got the knowledge of the game engine built into my head. When I play other fighting games, I don't say this fighting game is this based off of this. I say, compared to Super Turbo, this is how this game performs. It's different in this way. That's how I think. My head is geared towards the Street Fighter 2 game engine because that's what I grew up with. So any version they put out of that silly game, in the future, I'm going to be able to pick up a controller, and within 10 minutes, I'm going to be able to whoop ass in it because of the extensive amount of knowledge that I've had with that over the years.
Right.
I think that answers the question. I don't remember if there was
I think it does. 100% that answered it. So, Meme Lord, who is our next, he's actually a commenter. He's not a question asker. You officially get the reward of having your comment read in my angry Adon voice. So I want you.
Oh my God!
Don't think you're being made fun of. This is strictly fun. The whole point of this is to have fun. So going off of what Phil, I'm not talking about you, Phil. I mean Meme Lord himself. I don't want him to think I'm making fun of him. But so going off of what you just said in that last question. Meme Lord says, seriously, why is DSP so inept when it comes to video games? It's like an incapable son inheriting his father's successful business. What the fuck? That's his comment. I don't
have to read that. I'm glad you read it like that. You ain't had to read it like that. What is wrong with you? Give me your rim. You're done.
Meme Lord. I don't know. I don't know. Like, is he really an inept at games, or are you just good at the games that he play?
Well, really, the real question here is, has he actually watched a gameplay stream of mine, or the videos of mine, or did he just watch a This Is How You Don't Play compilation that shows me failing constantly, and he thinks that was like the entirety of the playthrough, There's tons of people out there who've never watched me on a stream, they've never watched my videos, but they see those compilations, which in essence are meant to be a fail montage. Like, you want a fail montage of people falling down and, gets on a jet ski and the fucking jet ski erupts under and he lands on his ass or whatever. Those are meant to be fail compilations. You don't look at that and say, oh, these people are terrible at everything in life because at this one moment they had a fail. But this is what these people do. They make these compilations, and these people are so ignorant that they watch them, they actually think that's all I do all day is I swear at the game developers and I fail. When in reality, if you actually watch my streams, it's very different from that. And I've had many people over the past several years come to me and say, Phil, you are so different when I'm watching your live content versus when I watch those videos. It really is night and day. I mean, not to say that it's not funny to watch the This Is How You Don't Play videos, because it still is, but it's cool to know that that's not you and the entirety of you as a person. So when you read a comment like that, you're like, that's just a kid. The only thing they know about me, that DarkSydePhil is the guy who sucks at video games because he has these This Is How You Don't Play videos. Ooh. And, he doesn't watch the stuff. How can you say to someone, there's evidence that I've placed competitively in fighting games before, I've won tournaments before, I've obviously beaten some of the toughest games out there, like all of the From Software Dark Souls games I've played. Not to say that I beat them on the first fucking try, but I beat them. I've played classic throwback 8-bit games that are in some of the most challenging, teeth-grinding fucking experiences you'll ever have. I've done those. I've done tough stuff. And I didn't just sit here failing constantly. I got through it and beat it. I persevered. So it really is kind of a sad. When you read a comment like that, you're like, man, there's a kid who didn't take 5 minutes to actually just check me out and see who I am and what I'm about, rather than just believe the bullshit.
Okay, but have you ever gotten past the speeder bike level on Battletoads?
Oh, God. And that's a throwback.
But I rented it. Yeah, I remember when I did
Oh, my God.
I had like no lives left. So I ended up fucking raging afterwards because I died and they put you up to do it again or whatever. And I was like, well, fuck this game. I never played it again. I never beat Battletoads, but I did beat the speeder bike once.
It's only one game that I haven't beaten yet, and that's fucking Ninja Gaiden Sigma. Oh my God, that final boss is an asshole. Like it has like it has like 3 stages, and if you die, you go all the way back to the first one. Mm-hmm. It's so hard, dude. Oh my God. I'm gonna beat that game one day.
Ninja Gaiden, you never played the original on NES. In that game, if you lose to the final boss, you have to play the entire fucking level
game over again. Yeah.
And it's the hardest level in the entire game.
Yeah.
I've never beaten that because I've never, gotten lucky enough on the boss, and I just got so tired of replaying the final stage, I said, fuck this game.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Justin, sorry.
No, I was saying the birds.
Oh, the birds. Gotcha. Okay, so I guess we'll move forward to this guy.
Oh, wait, I do have a question.
Good.
Oh, I know you get this a lot, and you can't tell me that you don't. But what are your thoughts on literally being like you, but having Low Tier God being called a black version of you?
Well, see, here's the thing. And this is what I've kind of said earlier on the show. I'm kind of a guy who I feel like I live on an island. I try not to involve myself in all the other shit going on. So I've heard this so many times over the years, but I've never watched Low Tier God at all. I've never seen him in a video. I've never seen a stream. I've never seen the infamous fight between him and Vizant or whatever at EVE. I haven't seen any of this shit. So I know nothing about this guy besides that people say that he's me. And I'm like, so okay, and I understand like why apparently he gets really angry that people bring me up in his stuff, because I'm kind of the same way. Like, I don't understand the reference because I don't watch his shit. I'm doing my own stuff. Maybe there are similarities. I mean, I wouldn't be the one to say yes or no if there are. But what's really annoying is if I'm on a stream and I'm trying to do my thing, and I look at the stream chat and you've got dozens of people, Lothar God. It's like, dude, I'm just trying to do a fucking gameplay stream and entertain people, and you're completely derailing the topic of discussion to a guy who's not here, who I've never mentioned. I don't talk about him. I don't know anything about him. So obviously that's not me gearing the stream towards that. Someone decided to derail the entire stream to talk about this other guy. So I don't know. I mean, again, I couldn't even intelligently answer the question. It's like, what do I think about being compared to him or whatever, or him being called the black me? I don't know, because I don't know. Outside the fact that apparently the guy is involved in drama, I really don't know what the comparison is trying to say, to the point where I wouldn't be able to even address it.
To be fair, you don't have Get That Ass Van merchandise. So, I think I think you're feeling an LTG.
Yo, and you know what? You know what, Phil? There's a reason why you never see LTJ. You want to know why?
Because he's not banned?
He has you banned. Nah, you're not. Alright.
I honestly wouldn't know. I've never
No, he didn't. He didn't ban you. It was just a stupid joke. But low tier God is misunderstood. He's not terrible, man. He's just, that dude gets overly upset, but he's not the most evil person in the world. Not at all. Like, he had a stream last night. It was very, very entertaining. He didn't get mad not once. I was like, is he on like a downer or something? Why is he so happy tonight? But it was weird. It was fucking bizarre. But anyway, moving forward to the next question. Let's see what we got here. Damn, this one is long as hell. Okay.
Ooh.
This, I mean, you kind of already answered this, so I don't really feel a reason to ask this one. He says, long story short, he's asking about your back issues, and it seems like ever since you moved, you've gotten better. And he says, why didn't you get the operation done? Because he see you rocking back and forth while sitting on your seat. So I'm guessing we could kind of mold this question, since you kind of already answered it, into, are you still going to do your operation for your back, or is that out?
Right. I mean, like I said, the only reason I would do the operation would be if my back got back to the situation where it was when I was in Connecticut, how bad it was, you know. And I'm not in a desperate situation where my life is hindered and I'm having all this debilitating pain anymore, but I would consider doing it if it came to an absolute situation where I had to do it. But the good news is there's all kinds of new surgeries now. Like that, you don't have to do the spinal fusion anymore. You can now do laser surgery. There's other options you can do. So that's good that if it comes to that I might have that other option as well. Of course, will my health insurance cover those other options? Who the hell knows? But at least it's there. So
right. Sounds like a good answer to me. All right, so what we got? Somebody else asked, where is this comment at? It's not showing up.
I got one while you're looking for it, if you don't mind. I think it's a good one.
I think I just found it, actually. Yeah. Go ahead. You can ask him.
All right. So, I'm sorry if I'm breaking kayfabe here.
Kayfabe.
For you, Phil. But this has been brought up before too. So when you get really upset about things, or get really pissed at games, or you're just like getting all pissed off, like what a lot of people tend to make this is how you don't play series about. Is that a character that you kind of just roll with, an entertainment value? Kind of like this persona, this gimmick of yours, or is that true Phil Burnell? So is that really? Because a lot of people,
yeah, I know. A lot of people think that it is me, and other people think I'm constantly acting. I would say it's a mix. Sometimes I purposely go over the top on purpose for entertainment value, and other times it's legitimate. It's legitimate rage. Sometimes it's a combination. I'll give you an example. So when I was playing Ultra Street Fighter 2 a couple weeks back, there's this one fucking guy who was absolutely god awful at the game. All he did was pick a Kuma and throw air fireballs. And his fucking internet connection was so bad, you could not even block the air fireball when he threw it from full screen. That's how bad it was. So the guy beats me, of course. I lose like 180 fucking rank points. Insane amount of points lost to this fucking guy. I lost my mind. Obviously, the rage is real, okay? But I said something to the effect that I wanted to knock all the teeth out of his mouth, rip off his head, and slam it through a basketball hoop or something like that.
Jesus.
Okay? So obviously, that's not serious. I'm not going to actually find the guy, go to his house, knock all the teeth out of his mouth, murder him, bounce his head down the street, and slam dunk him like it's fucking Space Jam. You know what I mean? But that'll be the thing that these people will take and be like, this is the entirety of what Fitz does on his streams. You know, he is all constantly saying that he wants to hurt people, and he constantly, or I'll give you another example. I'll be playing a game like, I don't know, recently I played the Crash Bandicoot series, and they had the remaster or whatever.
That's a hard game.
I'll be on a level, and all of a sudden something will go wrong with a clipping. I'll fall off the platform and die, you know. And I'll say, fuck Naughty Dog, or, you know, infamously when I was playing the Metal Gear Solid games, fuck Kojima, that, you know, egotistical bastard or whatever. And I'm kidding. These people think that any of my rage is genuine at the situation that I died or whatever, I failed at the game, but the reaction that I'm giving isn't necessarily 100% serious. No, I respect Naughty Dog. They put out an insane amount of great games. I respect Hideo Kojima for putting out these really epic level games that people have grown to love. Because I sucked at the game and I said a few silly things doesn't mean that what I'm saying is real or true 100% of the time. Because then maybe there are moments where what I'm saying is real. I guess that's up to the viewer to decide and figure out for yourself, because, I mean, I put out about 50,000 gameplay videos since I've done this since 2008. I couldn't necessarily tell you every single time was fake or every single time that was real. But yeah, you know, it's a combination. It's depending on the situation. You know, I have to read my audience too. If I see that my audience on stream is reacting one way or another, maybe I'll try to be more angry or less angry or whatever. At the same time, maybe it genuinely gets me pissed because that fucking Akuma Fireball spammer, you know, was being such a dick with a bad internet connection. I lost so many points, so, you know, it's 50-50.
Okay, so go ahead, Alf.
Anybody who gives you a hard time for Crash Bandicoot has never played Crash Bandicoot. That is a hard game.
Not that one.
That game
they haven't
is
played
hard.
this one. They haven't played this one. Because, like, I don't know what they've done to this one, but the one that we played as children was not this hard. It wasn't.
No.
Well, you got to think about it though. Naughty Dog knows who the audience is. We're older now. They expect us to want more difficulty. That's why.
True.
When we were kids, we didn't need that fucking slamming the games. Yo, I tossed the shit out of my controller a couple times, and it wasn't even that hard. But you know, now as an adult, we expect more quality for our stuff and more difficulty. Naughty Dog know who they made the game for. It was for us. It wasn't for the little kids. It was for us.
It was for the kids.
It wasn't. It was not for the kids. It's a nostalgia trip. That's all it was. Nostalgia.
It's actually funny because I played Crash Bandicoot 1 2 years ago. I played the PS3 emulated version, which has input lag. So it actually makes the game even harder. I did that. Because when I played the Insanity Edition a couple weeks ago, it was actually easier for me to beat that because it didn't have any input lag. Even though it was tougher because they changed the physics, I was able to react quicker, and so I actually beat it more easily than when I played it 2 years ago.
Well, they also changed the hitboxes too. Because back in the day, it was just, you know, squares. Now with the hitboxes, they're more rounded off. So that's why before in the old games, you could just jump and be able to just like barely make it, like the tip of your toe, and you're good. But these days, because the terrain is rounded off, the hitbox for it, if you hit the tip of that, you're just gonna slap right off. You're done.
Right. Yep.
Okay, so we're drawing near the end here. So we got 2 more questions. Got my question being our last question. And then we got
that's for last.
Yeah, one more. Yeah, it's definitely the best one, hands down. I'm not being cocky. I'm not asking that. That's it's not like anything offensive, but I'm pretty sure you've answered this already. He's just asking, why don't you make Nintendo games like Persona 5? Nintendo games and Persona 5 like it's Twitch only games, and why don't you keep games like Ultra Street Fighter 2 for your days you stream to upload to YouTube? I'm sure you.
I've explained it, yeah.
Right.
I really do have 2 audiences. I have a streaming audience and I have a YouTube audience. What people have to realize is that I've been making YouTube videos since 2008. There's a core fan base there that have been with me for a good 9 years, and I would feel bad if, for example, let's say a game like a Nintendo game. If I stream a Nintendo game, I'm good. But if I upload a Nintendo game to YouTube, YouTube uses that content ID bullshit system to take any ad revenue that I would have made. And so I make no money playing Nintendo games on YouTube. I have to rely on people doing things like cheers and tips and stuff on the live streams to make any money when I play them. So I guess what he's asking is, why don't I just do the games I can make money for on YouTube, stream them only, and then, why don't I do other things the other way? And the answer is because I know I have two audiences. I know I have people who've been with me for a long time who cannot watch the streams, whether they just can't be there live or their internet connections aren't good enough to watch a high-quality live stream. And I don't want to isolate that viewer and say, because you couldn't be at the stream, well, screw you. I'm only streaming it. I'm not going to upload it to YouTube. So really what I've done, I relied on people to kind of be really generous during me playing those games on stream, because I know that I can't really make the money on YouTube, to constitute me taking the amount of time to play that game. So I think that's what he's saying. It's not 100% clear in the question, but I wouldn't want to isolate a long-time viewer base who's been with me all along and say, I'm just going to refuse to upload these games to YouTube simply because I can't make a buck on them. I'd rather just do both. And if I can't make money on the Nintendo playthrough on YouTube, oh well. I still like to put it out there so that those people can actually still watch it.
Right. So the last question before I get to mine, this person wants to know, where are we? He basically said, Phil, in the past, you said you didn't want to be a clown during your gameplay and talk bad about things Twitch streamers do with asking for chairs and tips. How come you do that now?
I love questions like this. I love these questions because this is the kind of person that I like to say they have this black and white understanding of the world. Okay? A person who has a black and white understanding of the world thinks that the world is always black and white. There's always a right and wrong. There's always a yes or no. And for them, things never change. Like, it's an unchanging world. Nothing ever, because someone says something 7 years ago means that today it's still true. Nothing, the situation hasn't changed or whatever. So his first comment here is, you said you didn't want to be a clown, but you do that kind of stuff on stream. All right, first of all, again, sounds to me like someone who doesn't watch my stuff. If you actually watch me play games, no, I'm not overacting or overreacting. I'm not playing a horror game and screaming at the camera like a 5-year-old girl to get extra views. I'm not dyeing my hair weird colors to fucking get attention from little kids. I'm not doing the things that a lot of these common streamers and or YouTubers do to get this extra kind of cheap attention from an otherwise pretty immature audience. I don't do those things. Now, if I'm playing a game and there's a really silly part, I'll do some silly shit. Like the other day I was playing Sonic Adventure, and, I'm playing Super Amy's campaign, and the fucking song was, like, about love and a sweet, you're so sweet. It's like, what the fuck is this? So, I'll make fun of it. I'll dance around on camera a little bit to be fun, and the viewers like it. But no, I'm not going to be 100% of the time overreacting to every possible thing that I see in the video game just to get the cheap attention from kids, which is really what all these other YouTubers have adopted themselves to do over the years. It's not black and white. It's not just because every once in a while I'll do something silly doesn't mean that's 100% of the time and I'm a clown. But again, this is very immature kind of reasoning that this person who asked the question is saying. Same thing for the second question. So his second question was, Phil used to make fun of people who used to ask for tips and money during streams or whatever, and now you do it. So, why, aren't you being a hypocrite or whatever, all right? Yeah, let me put it this way. If right now, at this moment, I came out and I said anyone who asks for tips or anyone who asks for cheers or subs during a Twitch stream is pathetic, yes, then I'm being a hypocrite. But I didn't say that now. I said it years and years and years ago when on YouTube it was very possible to make a living doing the kind of videos that I was doing. Raw, unedited, pure gameplay reactions were very profitable on YouTube. YouTube has completely changed its business model to have the algorithms search for different kinds of videos. My videos don't even barely show up in YouTube search related videos anymore. The whole climate has completely changed. And then, of course, we had the YouTube ad apocalypse this year, where everyone's YouTube revenue dropped by anywhere from a third to upwards of 90% in some cases, where people had to go out of business because YouTube fucked up so bad. So when you're in a situation like that, you either adapt or you die. It's one or the other. And I said, well, I have two options. I can either completely give up on this whole thing and say, well, it's been a good 8-9 year run, but YouTube fucked up, so I quit. Or I could find a way to keep it going. And what I did is I started taking tips and cheers and subs, and yes, I do shout out notifications and all of that on my stream. However, and again, another lie and misconception, am I constantly during my gameplay asking for it? No. In fact, I have a set time, an advertisement time called a pre-stream before I do gameplay content where I let people know you can cheer, you can sub, and you can tip. And that's where I leave it. I don't stop during the course of the stream constantly and say, well, I'm going to run a commercial break now to make money. And by the way, please cheer and tip, or else if you don't do that, I'm going to turn the fucking stream off because you're not giving me enough money. No, I'm not doing that. But that's what people think because they hear this negative shit. Phil asks for money, therefore he's a panhandler, he's a beggar, and he's a hypocrite because years ago he said people shouldn't do that. It's a completely different situation right now. At least I would like to think the way I do it is more honest because I have a segment that's actually dedicated to it rather than constantly bringing it up during the course of the stream. And I know that honestly, I make way less money than I could because if I was constantly bringing it up during the stream, there's people who come in during the course of the stream who weren't there at the beginning, who missed the pre-stream, who made Phil takes tips of okay, I'll toss him up $1 or whatever. I would be making more, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to lower the quality of the gameplay that I'm putting out and the overall experience of the viewer that constantly ship. It's not like I'm constantly every 5 minutes saying, here's a new shirt, buy this, send me a cheer, send me a tip. But that's what these people would act like I'm doing because they just want to spin it to a completely negative light.
Right.
So again, is it black and white? It's not a black and white answer. Yes, do I ask for tips and cheers and stuff? Yes, I mentioned it at the beginning of the stream. But do I degrade the quality of my content to do it? No. And that's what I was talking about years ago when I was criticizing Twitch streamers. I was like, do you think that streamer is really there to play that game and enjoy it, or are they there to make money from you today? What are they really there for? And that's what you got to think of. When there's someone who's constantly just asking for money or buy this or this or that, that's an advertisement stream with an excuse being they're playing the game during it versus someone who's actually doing a legitimate gameplay experience. That's what I was criticizing when I said things like that. But again, you notice they don't have the original statements that I made in their comment. It's just a very generalized comment that makes me look like the villain.
Of course.
Again, it's that black and white, immature kind of mentality that things will never change. Whatever Phil said in the past is absolute and never changes. It's not even in the proper frame of reference. But I'm used to this. This happens to me on a daily basis about 4,000 times. So it's no surprise.
And you know what? Like, I'm starting to notice a pattern. Like, I'm actually going to pick on Trigger Happy SOB to close the show out now. This is the same guy that says, spoiler alert, they won't ask Phil any hard questions. Again, I gave you guys the opportunity to ask him anything you wanted. And this is the kind of stuff you guys came up with. Like, why would myself, Anthony, Kane bringing the pain, why would we want to ask Phil these kind of questions? These are your definition of hard questions? Really? What exactly would be a hard question for Phil if these are not it? You get what I'm saying? Like, I just don't understand this logic of we're not asking him the hard-hitting questions. Now, I guess that would bring me to my question, which I'm sure you all have been waiting for. My question is, Phil, you recently got into a situation where you were caught masturbating on stream, correct?
Well, I wouldn't say recently.
It was like years ago.
Last year. Year and 3 months?
Year and 3 months.
Did you
Okay.
bookmark that date, Phil?
It was a day that we'll forever live in infamy.
No. I would bookmark it.
Okay.
No, that's what just meant. Like, I'd bookmark it too. Like, I'm not gonna. Yeah, this today they caught me beating my meat. Like, yeah.
Okay. A year and 3 months. You were caught. You were seen masturbating on stream. Right. All right. Now, you guys wanted some hard questions. You guys wanted something interesting. We don't want to ask Phil about what happens on Twitch. We don't want to ask him questions that he's been answering for years. You know what I mean? Like, why he's been doing this. He answered it, guys. Like, the hard questions you want questions like this, Phil. When you were masturbating, when you were on stream without knowing, what the fuck were you masturbating to? These are the kind of questions that you should be asking the guy, not why didn't you play Kingdom Hearts? Like, come on, guys.
Right. If I remember correctly, I don't specifically remember like the video, and I don't actually even know if it was a porn star. I think it was just like a shitty fucking video of like some blonde chick getting banged or something. I don't know. I don't even really remember. It wasn't like, oh, I was watching some fucking, everyone always says fucking Lisa Ann for some reason in my streams.
Man, she's washed up.
I know. Lisa Ann was getting gangbanged by like 7 guys with giant 12-inch dicks.
I'm down.
It wasn't even anything notable, It was just something stupid. It was spur of the moment, It was like, that's why people think that, like, masturbation is like this thing that you plan out. I lit a few aromatherapy candles.
Hey.
I rubbed some fucking body oil on my body.
Hey.
Started my stream, and then I masturbate. It's like, no, that's not how it works. Like,
the scene from a 40-year-old version comes to mind.
Exactly, But no, it was something really stupid. It's something obviously that I shouldn't have done. It was a fucking very reactionary thing, obviously. And I didn't know what fucking camera was on when I did it. Obviously, it's so many stupid factors that just came together. It's just a silly thing. I mean, if anything, I'm just happy that I basically handled it in a way that I was able to continue to do what I love, and it wasn't a big deal, versus if I had handled it in a different way, like getting really angry, denying it or whatever, I think it would have been a lot worse. It ended up being, and not to say that it didn't, because I mean, let's face it, there's still probably a good 100,000 people on the internet who only know me as the guy who banged, the guy who masturbated on stream. Most of them still think it's on Twitch, which wasn't even true. That was when I was streaming on YouTube. But they don't even know the truth of it. They don't know the truth of the matter, that it was just a webcam of my face. They think that, like, I was fully, masturbating nude. There's people who made up shit and said that I was masturbating in front of children.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
They made all this shit up. Oh, Phil had a stream of, like, 1,000 8-year-olds who were all watching him, and he knew what was going on, and he masturbated in front of it. It's like, what the fuck? The things that people have said. I mean, but overall, it was surprising that it didn't end up being like a huge negative thing. Yeah, obviously people are going to make fun of me for it for the rest of my life, but I'm still able to do what I do, and I've still got, people who like to watch me play games and have fun, and that's awesome that it didn't, go so badly for me in that regard. But the porn was not notable at all. I don't even think it was like a porn star. It was probably one of those stupid amateur videos on one of the fucking, I don't even remember if it was Pornhub or fucking, who knows what it was. It was something quick, boom, done, and then I said, oh, Kevin's been on this whole time.
I have to admit, I'm kind of upset that it wasn't Hitomi Tanaka. I'm not gonna lie. I'm very upset.
Jesus Christ.
I'm upset.
Hitomi Tanaka in a live action hentai tentacle sex scene.
Yeah!
Obviously. That's what it was.
See,
now
it's all been out in the open, ladies and gentlemen. Let's forever leave it in the past now. And I commend you, Phil, for being cool about it. I commend you for opening up about something, because I'm like, you know what? I'm going to add something completely off the wall that happened. Because they say we don't ask the hard questions. That's a question I bet you none of y'all watching expected. I bet.
No, not at all. I thought about maybe asking it, but I'm like, I don't know. Maybe that made me look like the asshole.
But you didn't.
No, I didn't. That's
the point. Everybody in that comment section probably wanted to ask that, but they didn't.
I was too surprised to react.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Tiger Power Podcast. It's been real. Ladies and gentlemen, good night. Peace.